Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We have a beautiful opportunity to share with you some wonderful information about a company called Zija International and the launch of their Ameo line of clinical grade essential oils. So this is a very exciting time, a very exciting opportunity, and having the experience of working with essential oils for the past several years, working with two other companies before this company. I have learned to respect the oils. They are a gift of the earth, and it's amazing the different properties that they each have. So thank you for joining us. My name is Jacqueline Baminet, and today we have a wonderful special guest with us. His name is Clay Stevens, and he's come here all the way from Utah. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Clay. Clay Stevens' career path has included service in the military and as a public school teacher, corporate training executive, Fortune 500 trainer, and successful network marketer. For the past 30 years, Mr. Stevens has been working with pioneers and visionaries in the training and education field and has taught at the public, private, college, and university levels. Working with over 80 direct selling companies, NASA, Stanford University, Nielsen Media Research, Hewlett Packard, Intel, Kansas City Royals, Baseball Club, Clay has delivered keynote speeches, workshops, seminars, and webinars to diversified groups of business owners, entrepreneurs, community leaders, and students. And Mr. Stevens holds 4 degrees from major universities in instructional design technologies and is the creator of innovative and effective learning methodologies, relevant emotional practice training, and results-oriented instruction. Clay has written 8 books and owns 4 patents. He is an award-winning training program developer and speaker and author. He founded RI Training to help distributors and leaders learn how to improve their abilities to build strong and productive relationships that result in multidimensional goal achievement. He is a sought-after keynote speaker and national and international TV and radio host. So I would love to welcome Mr. Clay Stevens. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And it's a wonderful blessing to have you here.
Well, you're awesome. Thank you.
We're so happy we're here.
Well, and I'm happy that you're here as well. So this is great. You know, these are the best, in a lot of ways, these are the best kinds of meetings. So the reason why I'm in Palm Springs is I was already in California, and I was in Long Beach, so I had an opportunity to be able to do a keynote address, about 10,000 people in the audience, which is cool, except that you can't see any of the 10,000 people. You can see about the first 2 or 3 rows, that's about it. And so it's fun, and you know the spotlight is there, and there's great energy in the room, and all of that stuff, right? Which is great. And this is really the best meeting. These are really the best kinds of meetings because you really get one-on-one, energy with people who are in the room, and what you like, and what specific people care about, and how to be able to move forward. So, so I'm going to share an overview of Zija International and what the company does, why they do it, and why you might care, which is obviously the most important part of that. So as we've had an opportunity to be able to visit just for a second, it's really good fun for me to find out what people's passions are, what really makes people tick. And most of my life I grew up in a house where there was a right way and a wrong way to do everything, and the right way was pretty much my dad's way, and everything else, sort of by definition, right, would be the wrong way. And I served in the United States Army, which is also my way or the highway. And I coached for a long time, and then now the shoe's on the other foot, my way or the highway, right? So, and I was a school teacher for a long time and all those kinds of things. So I just have really learned over the course of time how to really just enjoy people, how to just really like and care about people. For most of my life, I grew up, people didn't really matter. Getting stuff done mattered. People, not so much. And I've just really learned actually in this industry. I've been a six-figure earner in the direct sales industry in 3 different companies. So that's been good fun for me to be able to learn and grow and be somebody who actually can provide real service to other people. So thank you for your kind words. And Jacqueline and I just barely met today as well. So maybe a half an hour longer than y'all. We've had some conversations on the phone and trainings and different kinds of things. But Matt, what a great woman. Just really great. I just really love your energy. It's really attractive energy.
Thank you.
So anyway, I appreciate y'all coming. And when we talk tonight, if you have questions, comments, concerns, whatever, this is a conversation. It's not Clay just, I happen to be up here in the front, but I'd trade places with you. That would be okay too. And we could be able to move forward. And hello to those people who are watching online, because there's some people that are paying attention to us online. It's kind of interesting. So we got multiple states going on all at the same time here, which is great. So I love that. So let me just ask you, if you could change anything in your life, if you could wave a magic wand. My belief is that we actually have the magic wand, right? So if you could just wave a magic wand, and any part of your life would be different, better, whatever those things might mean, right? What would it be? What would that look like? If you could change anything in your life, what would it be?
Probably having the financial resources to do what I want to do and have the space to do it.
Having financial resources to do the stuff that you want to be able to do, and that would create potentially some space to be able to create that. That's so good. And what would you do if you could change anything?
I would like to have my household, and I would like to be able to go and travel and do other things. And I want to paint and do pictures here. And I want to learn to play the organ. And I have a lot of things that are my bucket list that I want to do. And so that's what I'm my house I have to set that so I can go and do this. That's where I am right now. And I'm very sure it's full of things.
Very cool. So selling the house gives you resources to do those, and obviously you're going to be able to be free from having a place, right, to sort of tie you down to be able to go do the things you want to be able to go do. So if you could paint anything, what would you want to paint? So painting and playing the organ and all those kinds of things. What would you paint if you could paint anything?
I love to paint flowers.
Okay.
I like to paint scenes of like barns and nature, mostly these kind of things.
Okay.
Years ago, I did another portrait, and they turned out okay. And then when I just started taking lessons, we did that again.
Spectacular. That's awesome. And we have a book coming out.
Yeah, I think if I could change one thing, it would be cash flow. And I mean, I'm not asking the universe for too much. I mean, I just want my rent, my utilities, and my groceries covered. If I can have that covered, I can just kind of like really kind of focus on what I want to do.
Okay.
Just to be free to write this book and, to examine who I am and the nature of this world.
Excellent. Excellent. So these are all great things, right, that we want to do in our sojourn here on life, in this life. So, what I've come to find out is that God, if you want to paint that way, or the universe, for me, sort of, to me, right, these are synonymous terms, which is okay. So it doesn't make me right and anybody else wrong. It just means I get exactly how to make the deal work. Well, I'll tell you that the people who started this company, well, let me just back up before that. My own personal world, I used to be a school teacher, and I got tired of having more month than money. It's kind of a problem for me. And I wanted to be able to have a different life. And, I wrote a book called 6 Figures in 6 Months, which is the story of most of this. And, I was in the park. I grew up wanting to be a Major League Baseball player. And in fact, I live not too far from here. Geographically speaking, not too far from here. But I grew up in Blythe. I went to high school in Blythe, California. So on the way to Phoenix, right on the border, like where it's super hot. Not like here where it's only kind of hot. So it's crazy. So that was my dream growing up. Was I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player, and I became, so life circumstances happened, et cetera, and that didn't work out exactly like I wanted it to. But I was in a park one day watching kids play. I thought, you know what, that was my dream, and now, what am I going to do? I have children, I have a wife, and we have a mortgage and stuff. Is this really all there is ever going to be? And I thought, you know what, my big dream, here was my big, hairy, audacious dream, was for my wife to be able to go to the grocery store so that she could buy whatever she wanted without having to worry about how much that cost. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that's not going to Paris for lunch and driving around in an F1 Ferrari and living in a 20,000 square foot house with 9 bathrooms. And it's, that's pretty reasonable, it seems to me, right? Look, I'm pretty well educated, and then I had a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and we can't go to the grocery store whenever we want and buy whatever is in the grocery store. We're not talking about going to buy a car, whatever car we want. We're talking about going to the grocery store, not having to worry about which can of soup we buy. Right? It's kind of crazy when you start thinking about it. That was my big, hairy, audacious dream. And this business, not Zija International, but this industry came into my world. Now that finally, no matter what my background is, no matter what my experience is, no matter whether I like people or don't like people, no matter whether I'm smart or not, no matter whether I'm tall or short, fat or small, doesn't matter. I actually can do something specifically about my own circumstances. I'm like, you know what, this is pretty darn cool. This actually can work. And, our friends in Washington, D.C. are doing lots of things that are not, frankly, supporting us to be able to be in control of what we want. When people say, I'm smarter than you are, I'll handle this, you don't worry about it, trust me, that makes me nervous. I think, wait, I've seen that movie a few times. And, who's going to act in my best interest more than me? Nobody. I am. So I want to be able to do what I want to be able to do and take control of my life. So the people who started this company are fantastic human beings, just really, really, really top-notch people. So a guy by the name of Ken Brailsford. Have you ever taken an herb or anything that's in a capsule before? Ken Brailsford, the guy that started Zija International, invented that. So he was at a company called Enrich International, and today they combined with another company. He became the president of the company. They merged with another company, and today that company is called Unicity. And so Unicity is about a $125, $130 million company. It was a pretty big company. So Ken Brailsford took that company to over $100 million and said, okay, Yahoo, got her done. And he said, man, this is crazy. I'm going to take some time off. And he did that very thing, and then had an opportunity to be able to become the president of a company that maybe you all have heard of, and that is Nature Sunshine. Nature Sunshine, when he went there, was about $70 million, and he took it to $300 million. And then he decided, okay, I got gobs of money, and I'm working my guts out, and I need a break. So he took some time off, and he went to go serve in the church that he belongs to, and lived in a different part of the world, and had some really interesting, opportunities to be able to learn and grow and see some more of the world. And this guy is a billionaire, which doesn't mean anything other than he was able to have the resources to start this company. So Zija International is in Linden, Utah. Those of you who don't know where Linden, Utah is, and you shouldn't necessarily know where Linden, Utah is, it's about 35 miles south of Salt Lake City. So it's right in the mountain. So this mountain is behind this really cool building. So it's this way about 30 miles to my house, and about that way about 35 miles to Salt Lake. So this is the company. So pharmaceutical grade manufacturing plant. This is where they started. They started with products that are made from the moringa plant. And I don't know if you know about moringa, have heard of it, have used it ever or much. Fantastic thing. And he invested a lot of money in creating a pharmaceutical grade manufacturing plant so that he could control every aspect of the production and distribution of moringa. It's kind of interesting notion. So these guys actually could produce was going to say drugs, which is true. Pharmaceuticals, that would be FDA approved pharmaceuticals in this plant. Well, they don't, but they could, right? This is top-notch stuff. Now, you may or may not know the importance of that, but no network marketing companies have pharmaceutical-grade manufacturing facilities. FDA-approved pharmaceutical, they just don't. They don't exist. And Ken Brailsford has actually been able to make this happen. So, first to market. Now, he was introduced to the Moringa plant, Ken Brailsford was, by a relative who said, hey, there's this really cool Discovery Channel documentary for which you can watch on YouTube. And the guy says, this is really, really important. This is a way for us to actually make a difference in the world. Yeah, we got gobs of money and we're living life large and all of that nonsense, right? And Ken Brailsford watched that. It's an hour long, and my understanding of the Discovery Channel is typically not politically motivated. So I don't really have an axe to grind in regards to saying this is really cool because it promotes a certain political affiliation or an agenda per se. But I think these guys are actually pretty good. So he watches this thing, the Moringa plant, and we'll give you a link that you can go to. You can go watch the whole video. Or you can watch the Reader's Digest condensed version of it, which is what I would prefer to do myself, which is about 16 or 17 minutes long. But a miracle tree. This is great stuff, and it was born from this deal. And on there, Mr. Brailsford saw that there were places in the world where people use Moringa oleifera, and they actually have decent health where everybody around them doesn't. There are places in Africa where kids are not starving. Well, we never see that on the TV. There's people actually with reasonably good health who live in places where they actually have access to this, and places in India and so on and so forth. So this is where the whole deal was born, where the products themselves were born. Natural fusions, 46 antioxidants, 36 anti-inflammatories, omegas 3, 6, and 9, 20 amino acids, 9 that your body cannot produce by itself. Now, you guys may not, you might already know all of this. This is new to me. Not new today to me, but new in the last year to me. So, 90 verifiable positive health benefits to Moringa. So, we have nutritionals, we have weight management, skin care, sports drinks, and new are essential oils. So the sports drink line and the essential oils are a month old. It's very new. These guys have really gotten in and gone crazy. So the things I'm going to talk about first are going to be about these nutritionals. So they regulate blood glucose levels, sustain non-caloric energy, boost your immune system, enhance absorption of nutrients. Weight management, detoxify appetite control, increase satiety, etc. Skin care, clinically tested, body-friendly, earth-friendly, botanically based, which I think is a cool deal. No parabens, paraffins, and however you say this word, phthalates or something, mineral oil sulfates, etc. So what that really means is that lots of the stuff doesn't plug any of your pores. So no artificial colors, fragrances, cruelty-free, etc. Sports drinks are stellar. I have a son who does CrossFit, and he's out of control of CrossFit. Like he's pretty serious about this notion of CrossFit, and he uses two of the 4 sports drinks to help him to be able to increase, and he's increased his ability to be able to move forward. Then, of course, the essential oils we'll talk about here in a minute. Pure, unadulterated, highest quality, clinical grade versus therapeutic grade, non-water-based elements from the seeds, bark, stems, roots, flowers, etc. of other parts now. So they're clean, almost crisp to the touch. Now, I have a couple here that I borrowed. That's the political correct way to say it, right? I wasn't sure that I was coming here, and I didn't have a whole bunch of stuff, so I didn't bring a lot of things with me. So I just took this from my friend who I'm going to be meeting tomorrow, so he's going to be without for a couple of days. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to be in a place, and I don't know whether these people have any of this, so let me take yours. And I'll tell you this story here in just a second. So this is pretty cool stuff. Now, an introduction to this. hundreds of published peer-reviewed white papers. Even the National Institutes of Health are liking this notion of moringa. Combination of nutrients, and I think this is important to know that they use the seeds, the leaves, and the fruit of the moringa. So it's not one or the other, so we're not figuring out, oh, it's moringa because we use one of the three. Mostly people will take seeds. So it's kind of interesting. Okay, medical uses. Now, for those of you who are more medically acute than I am, anti-aging, anti-inflammatory, anti-20 antis, antioxidants, cholesterol, hypertensive, etc., anti-cancer, anti-spasmodic, fungal tumor, etc., etc. There's 20 of these. This is these are some pretty darn good health benefits. I think. Wait, really? This is pretty cool. When I saw this, I thought, wow, this is really cool. Welcome. So this is these are some great health benefits for this really important plant. Now, for the rest of us, here's the common English terms for those things that were on the previous slide. So, stimulates hair growth, enhances skin, normalizes blood sugar, improves digestion, etc. So let me just tell you what my own personal experience of this has been. So about a year, man, time goes fast. Almost a year and a half ago now, I took a test which tested the age, elasticity, etc., the health, let's say, of your cardiovascular system. You have plaque in your vessels and all that kind of stuff. So I take this test. The guy says, gee, this is really interesting. You have the cardiovascular system of a 69-year-old. And I said, well, that's really cool, because I'm 53. What? Like, really? Yeah, now, that was not a good message to receive, right? Like, wow, maybe you're going to die tomorrow or something. It was a really weird day for me. So, okay, well, what am I going to do about this? And I thought, and I do have a degree in exercise physiology, so I started paying attention to stuff and doing, the things that I knew how to do. And then somebody called me and said, by the way, there's this really cool thing called moringa oleifera. Maybe you should pay some attention to this. And I said, okay, I think I will. So I started doing some research. An interesting thing, in a world, I don't know if you've ever Google searched anything, but almost anything you Google search has some really nasty stuff along with the good stuff. If you just Google search moringa, I couldn't find any negative stuff, like moringa's a sham, and I couldn't find that. It's like, all right, if nobody can say anything bad about it, this has got to be kind of a cool deal. So I took for about 4 months, maybe 5 months. Then I took the test again. So same guy, same machine, same everything. Because I didn't want to be standing in front of rooms telling this story and say, oh, well, yeah, but different guy, different machine, different results, etc. So I take the thing again, and the guy says, wow, this is really super interesting. What have you been doing? I said, well, I started taking this moringa stuff, and I started to exercise a bit. And he said, wow, this is really cool. Because now you have the cardiovascular system of a 35-year-old. I thought, well, all right then. That's pretty impressive, frankly. Now, it doesn't wash my car, it doesn't wash my dishes, it doesn't brush my teeth, it doesn't comb my hair, but that's what it did for me. And so I think that's, from my perspective, pretty good. Now, the guy who took the oils, which I'm going to talk about here in just a second, the guy who's been using the oils has, I'm not sure what they're called. So I'm going to say anxiety issues. Panic attacks, that kind of stuff, like really gets nervous and stuff, and has been, in fact, even on some medications before in his life. Started taking the oils, those 2 oils right there, in fact. I did put some oils in another thing, so he's not completely without. So he's been taking the oils for, I don't know, about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. The medication went away, and he's not having these things. He told me today, you know what, feeling a little anxious today, but I'm not having like over-the-chart debilitating issues. That's pretty good. So the oils, like you're saying, this is cool stuff. Now, oils for me, completely brand new. Like, I don't get them at all, except that I'm starting to get it, like in a pretty serious way, how powerful essential oils can really be. So, the benefits of moringa are, are pretty impressive, as you'll see. Now, the oils, essential oils. This is new for Zija. They have, there's going to be 5 of these bullet points. Which obviously there's a sort of 5 thing here. So there's 5 things. Here, I think that are really important. The commitment to quality and purity. Now, they spent $1 zillion on pharmaceutical grade manufacturing facilities for moringa, and they've done essentially the same thing for their oils. So, step 1 of this sort of 5 thing. Best sourcing possible. Highest quality of validated botanicals, eco-friendly farms, farming practices, ideal locations, just distillation techniques, etc. Validation of best practices. All industry standard tests, plus clinical grade validation, which I think is really important, and cell activity and permeability testing, which means that these guys, so this stuff is not going to just go through. This actually will permeate the cells. They've actually figured out how to cross the blood-brain barrier. This is cool stuff. And there's actually a test, a video that you can actually see online through this thing. Now, number 3, pharmaceutical grade manufacturing facilities. Talked about that before. Scientifically advanced equipment, naturally preserving oils, carefully filtered, filled, capped, and sealed. You know what? The first day I tried to take one of the caps off one of those things, it's like, really? It was pretty cool. So this is true. Scientific advisory board made up of industry-leading researchers, doctors, scientists, essential oil experts, and more to ensure product quality. So there's people who come from other companies and serious researchers in the oils field to come. See, if I was on the advisory board, who would care? Look, I got all kinds of degrees, not in the right stuff. I got lots of research, not in that stuff. So it's important to make sure you have the right people on this board. And then instant access to an online library that showcases details and highlights tests performed on your specific oil. Now this is cool. This is really cool. So on this bottle, there is a code that we can look at. Oh, it's on the bottom. And yeah, there is. It's right on the bottom. You could go to this website, AmeoDifference.com, put in those numbers, and you can see exactly where your oil came from, how it was created, the process, and the batch that it was created with, and all of the test results of the batch that the oil in that bottle came from. That's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
This is way better than Budweiser says, meet your brewmeister. This I think is pretty important stuff to make sure that the quality of the oils can be counted on. Now, there's lots of people who have, I think, good oils. So I'm not saying everybody else is bad and Zija rocks the world. What I am saying is that these guys are paying some serious attention to the quality of the products that we get. So there's not a letdown of products as we move forward. I think it's important. For me, predictability works for me. It's always worked for me in everything that I've ever done. That's really important, to have confidence in whatever it is that I have. So those are the oils. So we have moringa, we have weight management products that are made with moringa in them. And just back up a couple here. And so Prime 90 is a weight management product. This is it's a drink, you shake it up, a meal replacement protein kind of drink. So what this is, XM Burn, XM Plus, XM AM, XM PM, Smart Mix, which is what's right there, Super Mix, and so there's a tea extract that we use as well. So these are weight management, and Ripsticks, these are the sports drinks. My son uses this guy right here, which is intended to help your body, get itself ready to be able to really exercise seriously. And then there's this one's called Recover, and he uses that one as well. There's another one, which is Fuel, and there's a Hydrate as well. And then XM Plus is also for energy, And then these are the oils, the full line of oils look like. So those are the products that we have in regards to that. Now, back here. So those 5 things. Now there's 9 ways to be able to earn money in this. I don't know how much you care about money. For me, money is an important thing. You know, I've had money and I've not had money in my life. Having it was always better. A little like oxygen in some respects. The longer you go without it, the more uncomfortable you become. So I'm not going to talk about it all night. I'm going to talk about 4. So direct sales, fast start commissions, team commissions, and leadership check match. So essentially, there's ways for you to be able to make enough money to satisfy you, whatever that looks like. Compensation plan is a binary, so there's 2 legs. There's a right leg and a left leg. Now, it's not any more complicated than that. Right, left. And you get paid in this company. You get paid every week in this company. So you get a check, you're going to get it every week. Now, fast start commissions. When you enroll people on your team, you can receive between 25 and 50% of how much ever they enroll for. So if Jacqueline gets in and she has, if she gets in at let's say, there's 500 points, $500, then if I enrolled her, then I could get someplace between 25% of the 500 and 50% of the 500. Okay? So 50% of the money is going up. We'll show you exactly how that works here in just a few seconds. Team commissions. So you earn on your lesser volume leg that you can get $500. So you have 2 sides. When both of these together equal 500 points, you get a check. You get a check based on your weaker side. Okay? Now, this is an interesting notion of being able to pay attention to these things, because now you're highly motivated to help people. I didn't come to Palm Springs and didn't have any other place to go. Now, I told you that I grew up-ish in Blythe, and the reason why we lived in Blythe was because my grandmother lived in Palm Desert for a time. That's how we ended up in the desert. So my mom taught school and all of that stuff. So why am I telling you that? Well, because as soon as we came here, my grandma was highly motivated to help us, to help my mom. My mom had gone through a divorce, and her life was falling apart as fast as it could. And so what we do is we pay serious attention to people. We're highly motivated to help you. The reason I'm here is because I'm here to help Jacqueline, and between her and me, there's about 15 people. So this is a limitless deal. It doesn't matter how big this gets. There could be 1,000 people, 5,000, doesn't matter. So all of that volume, all of it, let's add a different way. All of it goes up. Okay, to you and beyond. All of that volume counts to you. So no matter whether you produce all of that volume or there's people on your team. So Sue Lynn Smith is somebody that you knew, and Sue Lynn Smith introduced you to Zija, right? So everything that happens underneath of her, in fact, her sister is watching this in Wisconsin, yeah?
And another one in Minnesota.
And somebody else in Minnesota. All of that volume. Well, if this were Sue Lynn, if this were Jacqueline, right, all of those points would roll up. And up and up and up and up. Does that make sense? Do you get that? Okay. So this is pretty cool. This is important. The good news is, in a binary, people got to go someplace. There's a limited amount of places people can go. Now, there's some inherent drawbacks with this, which I'll show you in a second. And I think these guys have actually fixed this. I've been in the industry about 30 years, and I've been a 6-figure earner, 3 different companies. So I look at this and say, okay, I know exactly how to make this work. This is cool. And they've actually made this better, the binary better. Now, I'll tell you about that in a second. So residual income, which means money going on and 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 on. Kind of cool. So when you were in EMT, right, when you went to somebody's house, somebody got to pay. That money, some of it ended up into your pocket. Now, a long way down a very circuitous route, some of the money ended up with you, right? Because you can get paid over and over and over and over and over and over again for saving the people that you saved. It wasn't very long ago that my mother-in-law got to go to the hospital. And the EMTs came, and it was kind of an interesting deal. And they were great, frankly. They really were great. And we paid the bill, and that was it. Well, they saved someone's life. I think that's pretty important. And they did that day, save their life. So you get paid on and on as we go. From developing strong and profitable networks of business partners, training and leading new people to use structures, metrics, and systems, which create predictability. Residual income comes from having a strong reason or passion for creating a different life. That's why I asked y'all when we started, what do you want, really? Really, what do you want? Like when the lights are off and it's just you. You know, I found an interesting thing. I'm being recorded, maybe, and I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to anyway. You know, when you're in the shower, there's really no place to hide. You know what I mean? So, what do you really want bad when you're all by yourself and there's no place to hide? Right? When there's no reason to have to impress anybody or say whatever it is, the Sunday school answers or whatever. It's like, okay, what do I really want? What do I really deeply care about? And if it's writing a book because thousands of people, millions maybe of people are going to be benefited from that, or painting, right? Same thing, and being able to learn how to play the organ, and having enough resources to be able to do the energy work that you love to do, etc. Well, that's what this is really truly about, is to create predictability to make that happen, because you need to have a passion. From my perspective, you need to have a passion to live, or you're not going to do very much. I was at Walmart this morning, and you know what? Not a lot of super fired up, passionate people. I'm walking around, I'm thinking, some of you are breathing. I'm not sure all of you are breathing. What the heck is going on here? Listen, how many passionate people working at Walmart on whatever day of the week this is, in the morning, right? Not too many. So, this is essentially kind of how this works. So these are different levels of the business, and about how many people you'll have to have on your team, not necessarily personally enrolled by you, but on your team in order to be able to make some pretty good money. Now again, this is weekly money. You get paid every week in this business. Okay? So you can save the checks, do them once, a month, and go to the bank once a month if that works better for you, but this is money that can come to you weekly. So there's a lot of money. Now here's what we're really good at in this business. We're really good at telling the best case scenario, aren't we? Like, take a couple of drops of this stuff and you're going to be able to walk on water. And go talk to 3 people, right? And you're going to be a millionaire by Friday, and you're going to be able to buy, states and, islands in the ocean and planets and solar systems and stuff. We're really good at telling that part of the story. And you know what? All of that, not all of it, lots of that is true. That is to say, this money really is true. And most people can't get that kind of money. 10,000 to 200 grand a week. That's a lot of money. Now, I've never made that much money before. I've made that much money before, but I've never made that. So it's like, wow, really? You're kidding? It's to me too far. The delta between where my life is and that is just too great. It's like the Grand Canyon. But can I get my wife to be able to go to the grocery store so she can buy the stuff that she wants to be able to buy without worrying about how much Campbell's soup versus Albertson's soup is this week? You know what I'm saying? Now I could make that leap. To be able to, instead of buying a brand new car, to be able to just fix the stuff on the one I got. I could get that to start a college fund, to start working on stuff, get rid of a job here and there. So you can be able to make money as fast as you can. Ultimately, the question is, what the best case scenario? I just gave you all that, planets and solar system, all that. The worst case scenario is, okay, yeah, I think I'd like to try something, or at least get some more information to see what the heck you guys are really talking about, and which would be kind of a cool deal. The worst case scenario is you're going to go talk to some of your friends, and they may or may not decide to enroll with you, to join you, either as a customer or as a business partner with you. They might decide, I'm not going to do that. So you got, some money invested, and not a lot of money, frankly. Certainly not what it would cost to buy a McDonald's. And, you say you got a little money, but 99% of it's you're getting products, which, frankly, you could return. Now, I'm probably not supposed to tell you that, but you could. So you really don't have a whole lot of risk. To me, there's not much at risk. And my neighbors and friends and etc., my other family members are not paying for my bills anyway, so too bad, so sad. I'm going to share with you what I found. If you don't think it's cool, if you don't want to engage, Okay. So cool, because I'm not selling stuff, I'm sharing with you how your life could be meaningfully better. And if you choose not, then you chose not. Now, the probable cases, so best case scenario, worst case scenario, probable case scenario is in between someplace. My personal experience is closer to the best case scenario than the worst case scenario. So, if you made an extra $750 a week, $1,000 a week, $1,500 a week, $2,000 a week, even if you made $500 a week, that's $24,000 a year. For most people, that will pay the bills. That will pay the rent. That will pay some of these things. That will at least, so I, can eat. I may have to ride my bike, right? Or go someplace, but, may pay for car, gas. I noticed the gas, actually, in Palm Springs is cheaper than it is on the coast. So, you guys are living in a kind of a cool place. So, yeah, cheap gas. I never thought in my whole life that I would ever say that $3 gas is cheap gas.
It's just a little low right now. It's normally not cheap.
Right, I got it. So, this kind of money can actually change a whole lot of people's lives. Now, the fourth way, leadership check match. So, I told you before that these guys have actually improved the classic binary. Classic binary, right, left. That's how team commissions, weekly team commissions come to you. All of the points come up wherever you're at. You take the weaker side, you get paid. This is really cool. This leadership check match based on personal enrollment tree. So, personal enrollment tree, which means that if I enroll you, this is me, right? And this is you, then you are at the top of a personal enrollment tree for me. Okay? Now, the cool thing about that is that I can have as many personal enrollment trees. I'm not going to go backwards, thank you. I can have as many of these as I can have. So I could enroll you. You're at the top of a personal enrollment tree. I can enroll you. You're at the top of a personal enrollment tree. I can enroll you. And for me, you're at the top of another personal enrollment tree. I can have as many of these so I can build width, which is so weird in a binary. Because if there's only a right and left, and there's still only a right and a left, and there's still only a right and a left, how do you build width? That's what this is for. So no matter whether you're one person away from me in the binary, you could be 1,000 people away from me in the binary, and at the top of the personal enrollment tree. So you got two different structures going on exactly at the same time. So fast start commissions get paid through the personal enrollment tree. Leadership check match gets paid. Now, when you go emerald, which doesn't mean much to you, other than we can go backwards. So emerald is this. We got, let's say.
Did you say other than you can go backwards?
I'm going backwards.
Oh, okay.
Other than comma, maybe even semicolon. Let me go backwards so that I can say this. When you become, being an emerald doesn't mean anything to you other than this is what that looks like. Sorry, excellent catch. So when you have, let's say a couple hundred people in your organization, you become an emerald. Then you can get paid on 4 levels deep of this. Now, here's what all of that means. Most network marketing companies really truly pay about 35% of all commissionable sales to the field. So, most of them say, yeah, but we could pay 50, 55. Okay, I get it. And they don't. Because there's breakage. People don't qualify for stuff. People don't get paid all of it, because they just don't qualify in most cases. So most companies are paying about 35% out to the field. Well, there's a pool between 50% and 35%, right, in my scenario. There's a pool of money. Global sales. People who are enrolling in the business in Australia, in Mexico, in Japan, in the Philippines. You probably don't even know. They get in the business, well, they produce revenue. They produce points, as it were. They produce points for what we're doing here. So, in my example, the difference between 35% and 50%, that pool of money, you can tap into that pool of money when you become an emerald, and you can get paid, as an emerald, you can get paid 4 levels deep, 1, 2, 3, you get paid down here. In every personal enrollment tree you have, a leadership check match. So, it's good to have lots of these, and it's good for them to be deep. Because you can get paid on all this. When you become diamond, down to 5 levels. When you become double diamond, down to 6, etc., etc. Down, all the way down potentially, when you become, when you get to the level where it was making $10,000 to $200,000 a week, you can get paid on 8 levels when you get to that level. So, for me, 4 levels deep is humongous. Because whatever you do, if you were 4 levels from me, that would be great in a personal enrollment tree, but you are not, by the way. You're farther than 4 levels for me, right? So I wouldn't get paid leadership check match from you, except that everything you do adds to the pool of money that I get to dip into. Does that make sense? So I don't get paid directly, except that all of the sales, right, end up in that pool to be able to move forward. So it's paid on a weekly basis. You can make some pretty serious deals. So if I was telling you, gee, what do I want to do? Well, there's this notion that we've created called basic building blocks. So so let's move backwards again. Become what is going to actually serve you. So if you want to be able to make an extra, let's say, $750, even if this were a month, an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, build the business to that size. Build it however big you can believe. Now, for me, when I very first got in the thing, I thought, wow, really? $7,500 a week? Really? A week? That's $15,000 2 weeks. That's a lot of money. That's $30,000 a month. That's a lot of money for most people. It's not, for Clayton Kershaw, pitching for the Dodgers. That's how much he makes an inning about. But for me, that's a lot of money. So I started building, okay, I got to get to here. You just get to here. And then if I can see farther down the road, then I'll go farther. And if I can see farther down the road, then I'll be able to go farther and be able to move forward. So as big as you want, as much as you want, you can build a business with confidence that the products themselves actually do what the company says that they're going to do, which is so cool. So the person that introduced me to Zija is a really super good friend of mine. And I had personally coached her. I told you I've been in this a long time. I had personally coached her, and her name is Phoenix Sagan. And Phoenix, I helped Phoenix. She did all the work. I just coached her. She started with 0 one day in another company, and in about 18 months, she created $1 million. Now, it wasn't overnight. It wasn't slam dunk. She got to work her guts out. Heads down, butts up. She worked on that. So I don't want to paint some wrong picture for y'all. She got to go to work. Now, the work is, I'm going to share with other people. That's the work. It's not like building houses, and it's not like being an EMT. That's dang work. That's real work. And what I'm doing right now, I wouldn't consider to be that challenging of work, really, certainly not physically. So we share with people. We share with people products that will help their lives be better. We share with them how they can have that better life, and essentially we commit to help them to be able to engage, whether it's being a customer, product user, or to be able to go build a business. We commit to be able to help them. That's your commitment to anybody in this room, to be able to help people to move forward. Now, it's also my commitment, because if you have access to her, you have access to me. Now, you might be thinking, I don't want access to you, but Jack, that's cool. So, which might be okay, right? So we're able to move forward. Now, we actually do help you. So everything is in place for you to be able to have success. So, amazing products from a miracle plan. Stable, debt-free company. I will tell you this, one extra thing.
What was that first oil that you mentioned?
The first oil that I mentioned? Moringa. It's not an oil. It's actually an herb. It comes from it's called Moringa oleifera. It's a plant, right? Seeds, leaves, and the fruit of the Moringa oleifera
tree. Right, it's a tree.
Yes.
It's a tree.
And that's what's in these.
But they do have an oil, a moringa oil that you can find.
So really? I did not know that. Okay, so the company itself, Ken Brailsford, I told you was a zillionaire and all that nonsense. Well, here's what happens with most companies. So Zija International today is about $250 million in revenues, annual revenues, which is pretty good. So Ken Brailsford, I've been at this a long time, but I don't know anybody else who's been in senior leadership, even the president of a company, 3 times now. This is his 3rd time he's taken a company over $100 million. That's so he gets what's going on here. So much so that he did this.
What's his name?
Ken Brailsford. And he created, so what he did was he started to say, well, wait, what are we going to really do to move forward? So at $200 million, he builds all of the infrastructure necessary. So warehouses, production facilities, distribution, fulfillment, all of that for $2 billion. He says, because most companies do that backwards. That is to say, they say, okay, smart guys in the field, you guys figured out how to really tap our sort resources, right? You guys really make us groan and strain, and then we'll do that. We'll do all of that. And he did it ahead of time. He said, I'm gonna build it to $2 billion. I'll build it. Now all you guys got to go do is execute. Everything's already built. Yeah, yeah, because he's not resource strapped.
No.
He's got it. Okay, wait, I'm going to invest my resources. I'm betting on the field. Now you guys just got to go move forward. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, we're going to be the next, whatever, the next $1 billion company, the next $2 billion, $5 billion. We're going to be the next Amway, whatever. Okay, as interesting as all of that rhetoric is, the companies don't really believe that because they're not building ahead, not building faster. I will tell you this, that these guys actually have a clear, from my perspective, a very clear and obvious way to get to $2 billion. That's 10x what they are today-ish. So they got to $250 billion with Moringa, with the nutritional, skincare, and weight management stuff. The $250 million, that's pretty good. And now oils and sports drinks. And if I were going to bet you money that mattered, I'd bet you that the oils, the essential oils, will be the biggest seller of them all. I think it'll be the biggest one. It'll be $1 billion all by itself, I think. So, you know, it wasn't very long ago. I may be the only one in this room old enough to remember when oils really weren't that socially acceptable. Like, oh, essential oils. Oh, it's like voodoo or something. Except today, pretty much everybody can get it. Pretty much everybody knows, I think, at least has heard of essential oils. Might not be particularly well educated, but why do essential oils actually work, etc.? Then most people are saying, oh, yeah, I get that. I can do that. So we're in a very different place. Amazing products, stable, debt-free company, 50% guaranteed payout. That leadership check match guarantees that the company is paying out at least 50% of all commissionable sales volume. You can take the top off. Unique business structure, metrics, and systems. That's where RA training comes into this, because we want the business side of what you do to be as predictable as the product side. Products we're not worried about that. But what we want to be able to move forward. Now, this last deal is this. That we don't live, interestingly enough, we don't live in the industrial age anymore. And you may not know that. Maybe you're oblivious. Because the government is trying to the government is dumbing down the public education system, right? So people aren't learning what they're supposed to learn, or what they could be learning. So an interesting thing has occurred. We don't, unless you live in Colorado or Washington State, making money growing things was an agricultural age thing. We don't make money like that anymore. Now, I just sold yesterday a farm. I have a farm in the state of Washington. I just sold it for $2.4 million.
Yeah, I said why?
Because I don't live there, and I'm going to use the money to do something else. So $2.4 million, which means the person that bought my farm, right, had to come up with, he at the bank, a couple of $1 million so that he could make money growing things. Now, most people don't have $2.4 million in order to get it. Now, that's not equipment. That's nothing. That's just the land. Kind of an interesting notion. So, we don't make money growing things anymore. And typically, we don't make money making stuff anymore. You look at the stuff in the room. I got a phone up in my hand. This phone has more computing power than the original space shuttle. Probably cost HTC. It probably cost them, I'd say 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 cents to make that phone. Now, You want to make money making stuff? You better sell a jillion of them. Because you're not going to make much on the margin. You got to make money on the margin, and you got to have people into. You know why cell phone service when you start is 2 years? Because it takes them 2 years to get back to zero. They attract you. That costs money for them. And if you're not on for 2 years, they're not back to zero yet. So it's kind of a problem. So in the industrial age, the information age, money was made by distributing things. DHL, UPS, FedEx. I would say the United States Postal Service, except that they've only spent they lost $3 billion last quarter of our taxpayer money. So, but that's how money was made, right? In the information age. Well, we don't live there anymore. We live in the share age now. We live in the share age. We share, right? We share all the time. And guess what? People expect you to share. If you found something that was cool and you didn't share with me, that would be weird. If you didn't share with me, that would be weird. Culturally.
Exactly.
We share. I'm going to the bathroom now. TMI, right?
Well, yeah.
I'm going to dinner with my wife, and here's where we're going. And I had this really cool thing. And we take pictures everywhere all the time. And we put them up. Instagram, Facebook. You know, I mean, it's crazy, right? We share. We expect to be shared with, and we expect to share with other people what we find. That's the culture that we live in. So suddenly we have a perfect storm. Well, these guys, you may have heard of some of them, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, J. Paul Getty, Sam Walton, Ray Kroc. Those guys actually pioneered direct selling, network marketing. They built huge networks. What you may not know about Thomas Edison is that Thomas Edison, when he was a kid, was a telegraph operator. And he learned pole to pole, right? Sending messages. He learned, and he's credited for having discovered the fiber filament deal that makes light bulbs illuminate, which has now been outlawed. So that's what we think. Thomas Edison's light bulb. So Thomas Edison was one of the co-founders of a company called General Electric. Thomas Edison created light bulbs in an age when most people couldn't use them.
But that wasn't his most financially successful invention.
Yes.
Just saying.
And he electrified America so that the light bulb could actually be popularized. An interesting notion. So all of these guys essentially the same. They made money building, teaching, educating, and influencing networks of people. That's what they did. That's the age we live in. So if you want a few $100 a month extra, hallelujah. You can do that. You're going to you just need to influence a smaller group of people. If you want 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, then we move towards, right, buying states and islands and planets, right? That would take a larger group of people to be able to influence, to be able to do that. So, however big you are, but I'm just telling you that in the last 10 years, we've doubled the amount of millionaires in the world, global. Now, you may not care about that, except that I do, because of the way that they did it. About 90% of the new millionaires were created in direct selling, in network marketing. How? Teaching and influencing networks of people. That's what we do. That's the way to create wealth in the new economy. And I will tell you this, that the reason why our economy is mostly screwed up isn't because there's stupid people in Washington, it's just that they're completely uneducated to the world in which we now actually live. None of them grew up in the share age. None of them were educated in the share age. So we live in an economy which is completely different than the people who are trying to regulate it. Let them get it. And it's not because they're stupid, they just don't get it. Right? So that's why things are moving. And I would submit that if you really want to take control of your life, this is likely the way to be able to do it. So, essentially, at this point, you got 4 choices. You can do nothing at all. You can say, thanks for sharing, it was nice to meet you. And you can have some popcorn and whatever's the red stuff in the bowl. Watermelon. And a drink of water or whatever, right? And we'll shake hands and we'll talk and it'll be cool and we'll have made a new friendship and that'll be cool. And your life will go on just like it always has. And that's okay. We're happy to support that. Because our relationships aren't on the line with anybody. Your relationship in this should never, ever, ever be on the line with anyone. So the second choice that you could make is that you can get more information. And you can take a day or two to review it, right? And you can see, okay, now I can make an educated decision. The third choice is to become a customer and you start using the products themselves and be able to take advantage of the features and benefits of them. And the fourth choice that you could make is that you want to be able to say, you know what, I'm sick and tired, really truly of being sick and tired, and I'm going to do something about my world, and I want to become a business partner with Jacqueline, and say, okay, teach me, train me, help me, let's go already. We can be able to go do that. Now, ultimately, the question for y'all is this. So those are your choices, unless you can come up with some other choice that I've never thought of or heard. All of the choices that you might make will fit into one of those 4 items. Which of those choices works best for you? You don't have to answer in this moment, but those are your choices, right? And I just want you to consider for a minute, which one of those choices would work best for you? Nothing, and we'll be friends. More information, a couple days, customer, becoming a business partner with Jacqueline to be able to start working on some of the stuff you want to be able to do. So I would invite you to be able to consider that. Okay, do you have any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
What is